The afterglow of the Los Angeles sunset flooded the production trailer on set. A method actor named Simon was preparing to play a small supporting role, a professor in American Horror Story, taking tedious notes for his mere one page of lines. Simon took the scene extremely seriously. He kept refining his performance on the way to the set. To him, this role was the absolute lead. But in reality, hey, isn't that for American Horror Story? Sorry. Gay players don't get golf carts. Upon arriving at the set, Simon's scene partner was none other than Ashley from Twilight. But she was the lead actress, chatting casually with the director about what to eat for catering. After exchanging pleasantries with the director and cast, Simon walked straight to the desk set up for his professor character, checking if the props met the role's requirements. Then the actors ran through the scene. 2 lines done effortlessly. After that, the professor would have his head bitten off by a demon, and his part would be wrapped. It was such a simple scene. Lights, camera, sound, everyone took their positions. Just as the director was about to call action, just one thing. How long have Sarah and I known each other? He was getting into the character. Wait, this is next level? Simon began to establish the character relationship between the professor and the female lead. And from the emotional depth of that relationship, he tried to figure out the meaning behind those 2 lines, hoping to add layers to this 1 to 2 minute scene. This included whether the professor should call the female lead by her first name or address her with her academic title. The director was surprisingly nice. He agreed to let Simon film 2 takes with different deliveries. They all thought they could start shooting then. But then, I wouldn't let her get that far. As anyone who's worked on a film knows, if the blocking changes, the lighting, sound recording, and microphone positions all need to be adjusted. This whole process takes at least half an hour, and the shooting schedule gets seriously delayed. But because of Simon's in-depth understanding of the character, he needed to change his position relative to the female lead. The good-natured director could only reluctantly agree to Simon's request again. Just when everything was finally ready, Simon realized the book used as a prop should echo the deep relationship between the professor and the female lead, so he called the screenwriter over to discuss it with him. Now, there's no reference to a book. I think it's implied. As time ticked by, the delay in shooting even alarmed the producer, who was keeping a tight rein on the budget. Who wouldn't love such a dedicated actor? Who puts the craft above everything else? So he's cutting your character from the show. And just like that, with the producer wearing a fake smile and being overly polite, Simon was fired without getting a single take. The crew even clapped warmly for him. Maybe, only I'm wondering, will Simon get the catered meal from the set today? This was just a typical day in Simon's life as a method actor. He was completely lost in his obsession with acting, never realizing he was just a dispensable extra. To make matters worse for Simon, when he got home, his girlfriend was packing her things, planning to move out and break up with him. Faced with a day full of sudden setbacks, Simon stood in the bathroom, trembling as he looked at himself in the mirror. By trembling, I mean the house. Literally. It seemed that when Simon's emotions flared up intensely, he could unleash some kind of energy. To ease his feelings of failure, Simon decided to go watch a movie at the theater. Unexpectedly, he ran into Trevor at the cinema, the actor who played the fake Mandarin, and caused a huge stir in Iron Man 3. The movie, playing at that moment, was Dustin Hoffman's Midnight Cowboy. The 2 character structure and plot of this film actually inspired today's topic, Wonder Man, in some ways. After the movie ended, neither of them wanted to leave. They chatted back and forth about the film, finding a kindred spirit in their love for cinema. In the dark theater, as they were about to say goodbye, Simon couldn't help but ask Trevor about the audition call he just received. Because of Simon's current difficult situation, every audition opportunity meant the world to him. I'm auditioning for Wonder Man. When Simon heard it was an audition for Wonder Man, he froze on the spot. Wonder Man wasn't just an ordinary movie. It was the film that sparked Simon's acting career, the one that inspired him to become an actor. It was also a precious memory from Simon's childhood when he and his father rarely watched movies together. Moreover, the director of the new Wonder Man reboot was the legendary Von Kovar, who had just stepped down as the president of Bravia from the DC universe and had now become a legendary figure in Hollywood. Every actor dreamed of being in his film. Upon hearing this news, Simon lost his composure completely. He rushed straight to his agent's office, interrupting their meeting, demanding to know why he hadn't been notified about the audition. In truth, the agent admired Simon's acting skills and his dedication to his craft. But it was precisely this obsession with acting that made Simon's emotional intelligence almost zero in Hollywood's world of favoritism and social graces. This was why Simon kept hitting roadblocks in his acting career. Hollywood isn't full of method actors. Otherwise, movies wouldn't have gotten worse and worse over the years. The crew was already in talks with Leo DiCaprio. Obviously, Simon didn't stand a chance. The agent was still furious about Simon ruining the American Horror Story gig earlier that day. He brushed Simon off with a few words and left work. But Simon was never one to give give up that easily. He found the contact information for the Wonder Man audition directly from his agent's computer, then pretended to be Jenny's non-existent assistant, going through all sorts of trouble to get an audition slot. Coincidentally, that day was the last day of auditions. Simon showed up completely unprepared. While signing the non-disclosure agreement, he also had to sign a guarantee stating he had no superpowers. In real life, this is similar to Hollywood's resistance to using AI, because actors with superpowers would definitely have an advantage over ordinary humans. Also, there will be a side story later that explains why they don't use superpowered actors. After getting his audition lines, Simon was overwhelmed with stress, not only because he valued this opportunity so much, but also because he saw many talented actors busily preparing. No matter how many times Simon took notes, mulled over the lines, and tried to get into character, he just couldn't focus. Strange purple light began to flicker in his eyes. Just then, Trevor walked out of the audition room, having just tried out for another role in Wonder Man Barnaby. He was relaxed and chatting casually with the casting directors. Simon felt even more embarrassed and out of place. In the narrow hallway, Trevor recognized Simon immediately and could tell in less than a second that Simon was completely out of his element. Come with me. Trevor decided to help Simon. He glanced at Simon's notes and immediately knew what the problem was. We've got to get you out of your head. Then, Trevor taught Simon a few tricks, helping him relax both physically and mentally, and telling him to let go of those so-called in-depth notes. In short, for someone like Simon who overthinks everything, the key was to clear his mind. Then everything would fall into place. Simon entered the audition room. Following Trevor's advice, he began his performance.
I lost whatever part was left in me that makes a person a person. Until Barnaby pulled me out. No one else ever gave a damn. No one. It's too late for me. But you can still walk away. I'm asking you nicely, just walk away.
After the audition, the two went to a bar to continue talking about acting. Trevor didn't drink alcohol. He had been sober for over 13 years. Let's see, that was around the time he played the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. He went to prison right after filming the Mandarin role. Simon and Trevor had very different views on the craft of acting. Simon believed that only by understanding the subtext behind the lines could he truly comprehend the character and become them. But Trevor thought, why force yourself to become the character instead of letting the character merge with who you are? One's own charm, life experiences, and insights into life are equally important.
Never forget that. Nature, that's our job. To understand the world around us and ourselves within it. The real work isn't digging for subtext or parsing a writer's intent. The real work is living.
This was actually a clash between two acting techniques, Stanislavski's system and Lee Strasberg's method acting. As the name suggests, method acting leans more on methods, experiences, and techniques. Through a complete accumulation of emotional and sensory memories, an actor can instinctively perform genuine emotions. Simon's more into method acting. The more he digs into the details, the more solid his performance gets. Method actors can switch up their acting dynamics whenever they need to. Trevor, though, is all about experiential acting. He truly listens, truly sees, truly feels. He starts with his own self and then lives the character's reality. Once he's in the role, it's hard to step out of it. But when he's fully in, he brings the character to life completely. Funny enough, Trevor used representational acting when he played the Mandarin before. It's not about the self, but about imitation. Back then, he mimicked terrorists to nail and craft the Mandarin's character, and it was a huge success. He fooled everyone, and everyone thought he was the Mandarin. Truth is, no acting style is right or wrong. Simon and Trevor's talk about the pure passion for acting made them hit it off instantly, wishing they'd met sooner. After Simon left, Trevor sat alone, eating a salad. Soon after, his phone rang.
Third contact was established.
We don't call it third contact. He was at the matinee?
Yes.
And then you ran into each other at the audition?
And then we had drinks. Third contact.
Turns out the DODC Department of Damage Control sent Trevor to get close to Simon on purpose. Simon's thought to have insane superpowers, and they want to find proof of his abilities to arrest him. Trevor's their undercover plant, plain and simple. Meanwhile, Simon runs into director Vankovac's new star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He fires off an excited text to Trevor saying this must be fate. But for Trevor, Simon's fate isn't going to get better, it's going to take a total nosedive, all because of him. This is the first episode of Marvel MCU's Wonder Man miniseries. It hit a whopping 96% on Rotten Tomatoes at launch, though it's slipped a little since then. In fact, it's the highest rated MCU show since WandaVision. I purposely toned down the Marvel vibes in this breakdown because this show is nothing like your typical Marvel flick. Wonder Man tells a full, complete story, no shortcuts. And the character work? It gives me the exact same feels as WandaVision back in the day, taking its time to dig into the characters' inner lives, making us really feel their struggles and their thoughts. Basically, Wonder Man is a thoughtful drama with an MCU wrapper. And the plot? It's right up my street. It's all about the behind the scenes of the movie business. It might not hit the heights of Barton Fink, but compared to some recent Marvel stuff that's just an entire show built for a few Easter eggs, its heart and sincerity are totally priceless. So where's this story of Simon and Trevor where their acting and real life blur together gonna go next? Let's dive right in and find out.